I'm back in the studios in Las Vegas. Go Live Vegas. This is Full Tilt Vegas. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about horse racing. I was going to do a segment next week, but I wasn't going to do it next week, but I'm going to do it now because I'm going to get a lot of questions on the one we're going to tape live after this. So I'm just going to do the horse racing now. Okay, horse racing is a whole new ball game. I mean, you got craps, blackjack, roulette, poker, and then you got the slot machines and Keno. Horse racing is totally different. Totally different. Okay, when I was playing, let me just say, I was playing horses for, actually I played for 9 years straight. But before I did that, I didn't know anything about horse racing. Like I said back in my book, my uncle took me to the track, me and my brother, when I was 12. And he said, pick a horse or number on the horse. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I just said, I don't know what I'm doing. And my uncle, Rudy, God rest his soul, passed away. He bet his age, which a lot of people do. They bet their age, they bet their daughter's age on a horse, or same name as my cat, area code for a trifecta. But so he bet his age, and 26. And I'll go into what is boxing later. What happened is it came in 62, and he threw his ticket away. And we start walking away, and I said, what happened? You didn't win? He goes, no. And then he stops. But I saw when he threw his ticket, it went through the fence. And he said, oh, man, look at all those tickets on the ground, because people just throw them on the ground. And by the way, you're not supposed to be picking up them tickets. You can actually get in trouble. So I saw where it went. So what I did is I told my Uncle Rudy, I said, I know where it's at. And I put my hand through the fence, and I got it. And he looked at it. And it was 62, but he looked at where it says box, and it looks like this. It's a ticket like this, and this is a trifecta. These are 3 horses. I'll explain that later, but it looks like this. It's so he boxed it for $5. Back then the exactas were $5, so it's a total of $10. So boxing means you hit it 26 or 62. You can bet it one way, but he boxed it, so he wins, and it for $10, which was a lot of money back in 69, 67. Anyway, he won $192, and we thought that was a ton of money, and we asked him for $1, and he I'm gonna give you $5, and we thought we were rich, because I was only 12 years old. So that's a story how I got started. Every summer we went to Del Mar. It was at Del Mar, and he'd take us all the time. And let me have that one. Give me that horse, and we just screw around. But so in 1987, San Bernardino actually got a simulcast. So they got a simulcast, was the old Orange Show Dome, and they thought there was going to be 2,000 people show up in a month. Well, 4,000 showed up on a Saturday, so it continued. All these it was so packed they had to open up the building next to it, and it was just too much. So what happened is San Bernardino, they hired a lady she was an architect from Vegas, and in the city put up $2 million, and she built this beautiful huge size place. It looked like casino style too, the rugs, and tons of TVs and stuff. So I started going there in 1987. I think it was in 87. The first 6 months when I was there, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just looking at the horses and just betting for 6 months. But but I was only betting $2 to show, maybe $2 a place, which that means show's third, place is second, and win is first. So win, place, and show. So what happened was I kept going there I was going every Saturday with $25. That's what I started with, $25 going there. So I was just betting $2 on a horse to place or show. And sometimes I win, sometimes I'd lose. And the thing is, most of the people don't know what they're doing. They're always betting the favorite. In other words, a horse that's 4 to 5, 8 to 5, 3 to 5. So that's what I was betting. And then these other horses are coming in at 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 10 to 1. I go, why they win? So I did this for 6 months, and I kept going back because I actually got hooked. And you can get hooked on horses really easy because for a small amount of dollar, you can make a ton of money. Okay, back then, for $2, if you played the pick six and you actually hit the pick six, which is, say it starts in the third race, you have to pick the winner of that race. And the next race, all 6 consecutive races, you have to pick the winner of those races. Now, that's really hard to do. There's been one lady I remember years ago in Pasadena, for $2, she just picked the name of the horses, and she happened to win. I think it was 120-some thousand back then. There's been people that hit it with small tickets because you can pick 2 horses, 4 horses, 10 horses. But the thing is about a pick six, and now there's pick fives and all kinds of. The thing is now, but you have to remember. People go, well, why don't you just put all? You can't do that because if you times a 4 horses and then next you got 4 more, so that's $8. Now you got the next race you have to you got 4 horses, you have to times that by 8. So you can see how it starts, and then you got 3 horses. Now that's times that. Then you got 4 horses. Now it's times that. You could end up with a $2,000 ticket, and that's not playing all the horses. That's why it's not feasible to do that. And so you want to actually learn a handicap. So what happens after what happened after 6 months? I went in there on a Saturday, and I was standing there with an older gentleman. At the time, he might have been 58, something like that. So I was looking at the screen up there, and I just said it out loud. I said, you know what? I think that number 4 is going to win. And he kind of looked at me and goes, that 4 is sick. And I go, what do you mean it's sick? He goes, that horse is sick. So the guy I met, his name is Gary. I guess I can't say his last name, but his name is Gary. He turned out to be a really good friend. So anyway, I said, well, why is he going to win? Because he was a favorite. And he goes, sometimes I get inside information, or I get called cheat sheets, which you can download them and gives you what the clockers. I'll explain all that, clockers corner and all this stuff. But he ended up winning. I think his horse was number 7, and he was 4 to 1, and my horse is still running somewhere. And I said, how do you know that horse is going to win? And that's kind of a price. So the next race, I was standing next to him, and he always held his program like this, and the number he liked was circles. So I go, oh, he's going to bet on that horse. So then I said, what do you think? Who do you think's going to win this? And he goes, I think the number 4. I said, okay. So I go there, run over there go and run, and I bet it for, I still was only betting $2. I bet $2 to show. And that horse won. And I go, how's this guy know? So I went back to him in the next race, and I just stood there. And I noticed these people were coming up to him. Hey, man, thanks for that horse. Thanks for giving me that horse. And Gary goes, I didn't give you no horse. Yeah, I know, but I heard you talking to this guy here. So, but people used to come up and bother him. And, man, he would get so mad. He turned and told me, I wish these people leave me alone. So that right there, I go, uh-oh, I got to be careful. So anyway, he wanted to sit down. So he goes, why don't you come to the table with me, and we'll talk about the next race. I go, okay. So I sat down with him. That sitting down turned into 9 years. So at that time, it was Gary, and there was a couple other guys, Joe, Fred. I can't remember the other guys. There was 7 guys. And all these guys, all of them, were in their late 60s, 70 years old. They're all multimillionaires, all of them. And so I got to know all of them. And so I started, talking to them, and then I'd come back and get to know them and ask them what they thought. And I was the knowledge. I said, you know what? I don't want to know I want to know why that horse is going to win. Not, oh, I had that horse and I go, good, I bet it. No, I was like a sponge. I was absorbing everything that I could absorb because I knew these guys were good handicappers, and so I wanted to learn. I wanted to know because these guys were making so incredible money. I mean, I'll go through all that, how you do that. Incredible money. I said, God, man, if I won that money this guy just won today, I don't have to go to work for a month. So anyway, I sat with Gary. On a table, it was me, Gary, and then everybody else was all just right here. We were in a little area, so I sat there with all those guys and I talked to them here and there. So I just Gary, Gary, how come why isn't this horse going to win? He would tell me. And this is the other thing. I guess I probably should have told you this first, but I started I got so much stuff in my head, tons of stuff. Anyway, when you ever go, that was the other thing. When I was going for 6 months, I didn't buy the form. I saw this thing that looked like a newspaper. I said, is that a newspaper? And this is a PPs, past performance, just like baseball. They're all the past performance. This is a form and this is a program. Now a lot of people just buy the program and they look through it. There's some really good information in here, but it has all the races, and then it sometimes it has maybe 3-4 tracks, maybe 5 tracks. Okay, the form. What you do with the form is you go through the track you're looking at, you go through the horse, and you start seeing how the horse performed last time. Now, man, I got so much stuff to tell you. It's crazy because it's like I went to college when I sat there for those 9 years, and then I still do play, but that's all I did for 9 years. I actually supported myself for 9 years at $9,000. I had a lawsuit. I won $9,000. That $9,000 turned $1,000 per 9 years. Then I had to go to work. So you get the form, and you learn to read the form. This is so important. You wouldn't believe the money that I made because I was looking at the form. Because you can look at the screen and you can see the favorite, second favorite, third favorite, or you can watch the horses, your favorite jockey. Some people, like I said, they pick their number, they pick their age, the 2 horses, or they pick the name of the horse. I don't know. The horse might be named Billy. Billy is going to bet that. The horse don't know that his name is Billy. So, I buy the form. Where I live is $10. A lot of people don't like paying $10, but in the past month, because of the form, I've been catching because of my experience too. I was looking at this and why is he doing it? You know what? This horse should win. This horse should beat this horse. And he was 7-2. So, I bet a lot more than I used to, because I went from $25, then I went to $50 and $100. Then I was bringing $200. I was ended up bringing at like 7 years later. I was bringing $400 to the races. So, but I was betting, more because I was spreading with the exactas, tries, and I'll explain all that. But in the past month, there's been like probably 3 horses that you can't tell. You see them up there, and according to the form, kind of according to the form and what you're seeing up there, it looks like a certain horse was probably going to win. And then if you look at the form, he won his last 2 races. And I go, you know what? That may be true, but this horse is, I have to explain all that too. This horse is dropping. He went from, I think it was a 32,000 optional claimer. He went from that, and he dropped all the way down to $16,000. I think it was a maiden. No, he dropped down to $16,000 claimer. And I haven't explained that. But anyway, what happened was, I said, this horse was running against an optional claimer or better horses than a claimer. If it's 32,000 and then you got 32,000 optional, they're running with better horses, because that race is also allowance horses. Allowance horses, you can't buy them. Claimers, you can buy them. But they're better horses, and it also depends on the surface. But so I won. He was 7-2, and I put 200 to win on them, so I won 900 bucks. 900 bucks. So and then about I don't know, I guess I was telling Aaron here, I won out of 9 races? I think it was 9. No, 11 races. Out of 11 races, I won 8 of them, and I won like $1,600. And I was actually playing. I was playing some. It depends how you're playing. I was winning them on exotic. The exotics are exactas, tries, and all that. But that's how I won it. But I won on. It was 2 different tracks. So I only played 2 tracks. I don't start playing 3, 4. You're gonna get all confused, and then you have to watch how the track is. But anyway. So you always buy the form. This is what you need. You really need this. And I'm going to have to go in and explain more why. And then I used to get them both, but now because the form has so much more information than it had back then, you can just buy the form. You don't need the program no more. I mean, if you don't want to spend that money, but you're not going to get the information like you're going to do the form. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to explain this. We're going to use $2 for an example. If you want to bet a track, and you walk up to the teller, and you tell them, first you got to tell them what track. Let me have Santa Anita. Let me have $2 to win on number 4. So they know it's the track, they know it's a win bet, and they know it's a number 4 horse. So that's how you tell them. Now. Excuse me. If you that's a win bet. You can say, let me have $2 a place. That means second. $2 to show. That means third. But you can go $2. It's called across the board. So in other words, win, place, and show. It costs $6. So if your horse comes in first, second, or third, if he comes in first, you win all 3. If he comes in second, which is a place bet, you lose the win, but you'll win the place and show. So you'll only lose 2, and you'll win the other $4 there. Excuse me. So that is a win. Now, if you want to play an exacta, back then it was $5. They're all $1 now. So you walk up, and you hopefully you already did your handicapping, because once you start playing and you get good, there's going to be people standing in front of you. Let me see. That's the worst. They're handicapping at the window, and you don't want to do it, especially if you go to one of the tracks. It's learn to use the machines. The machines are very helpful. I most of the time I use a machine. So if you play an exacta, so you can play it one way. Just say for an example, since they're $1, $1. So if you play, say you like the number 2 horse, and then you think the 4 might beat you, but you really like the 2. So you take $1 and you bet $1 exacta, and it's called. Let me have Santa Anita a $1 exacta on the 2-4. That means what he's going to do. He's going to give you the 2 horse first and the 4 second. And it has to come in that way. If you want to box it, in other words, if you think the 4 might beat you, but you like those 2 horses, you can go, let me have $1 exacta box. Now you said box, that means he knows it's flip-flop. So $1 exacta box on a 2-4, and it don't matter how it comes in, 4-2, 2-4, and if it comes in, you win. And then it depends on the odds of the horse. It depends how much money is in the pool, and then you get paid. A lot of the California tracks, the pools are pretty good. They're pretty good size, but what is it? HR. Anyway, they take a lot of the taxes in California. That's why a lot of people don't like playing California tracks, because the exacta pools or the wind pools or tri pools, they're pretty good size, but those states don't take a lot of the money out, so you get paid more. So if you want to play, that's an exact. So you got the win, play, show, and then you got the exacta, which you can box it, which is both ways. And also they offer a quinella, or sometimes it's called a house cue. In other words, a quinella. It's called a cue. You'll start using these jargon after a while. So I liked it better when there was a $2 exacta and a $2 Q, because a lot of times the Q paid more than the exacta, but you had to look up on the screen and see what the payouts were. And a lot of times me and Gary were winning more money playing the Q than we did the exacta. And so now what they did was that the Q is still, unless you use the machine, I think the machine might have, unless they don't have, they don't have a house Q. Now it's really hard to find a Q page better than exacta. So a lot of times I just stick to the exacta. So that's the exacta. Now there's a trifecta, which I bet here, which I found out it didn't come in. I cut 2 of the horses. Yeah, it's a trifecta. This is what the ticket looks like, and I bet this one for $5. If you bet it for $1 on a try, you like 3 horses. You can bet the 3 horses. Like this one's 136, and it'll cost you $6 to box all 3, and that'll be 6 bets. So it don't matter how they come in, what combination, but you got to hit those 3 got to come in. So that's a try box. There's another way to bet that. If you ever bet an exacta, don't excuse me, don't play 3 horses for an exacta, because I mean you're chancing 3 horses, 4 horses, or 5 horses in an exacta. You only get 2. You only need 2 horses. If you're going to do that, play the tri pool, and the tri pool is a lot more money. You'll win a lot more money. There's this guy I know. I kept telling him he was playing 5 horses, and he's playing the exacta pool. And I says, well, what are you doing that for? You might as well play the tri pool. And he said, no, because I got a good chance of winning 5 horses. I only need 2. I says, yeah, but you have 5 horses, you might hit the try. And the next race it came up. All his 3 horses, 3 of the horses out of the 5 came up, and he won $42 for the exacta. And if he would have put all 4 horses, which a dollar costs $24, I don't like doing that, because I like hitting it 5 or 10 times. Now, what I'm going to tell you about the trifecta and the superfecta, you can do this. If you really like a horse a lot, say there's 3 horses, and you really like a horse out of the 3, what you do is you go up to the toque and you tell the guy, or if you do it on the machine, you tell him, Santa Anita, I want to play, just say, I don't know, say $2, $3, $4, it don't matter. Let me have a dollar try, but I want to key the 1. I want to key the 1. So that 1 has to win out of the 3 horses. He has to come in first. So if you key the 1 and then you flip flop the other 2, it's only cost you $2 instead of 6. So, and then for those $2, you can take it, since you were going to spend 6 on a 3-way box, and you're doing a 2-way box, and you're keying the 1, but the 1 has to win. You only cost $2, so you have $4 more that you were going to spend, so you can take it 2 more times. And I did this with a friend of mine, went Santa Anita, and I told him I think the 4 is going to win this race, and we keyed him, and he did win. We won I won the try. I don't know what it was, 6, 7 times, and he won the try. He won it 4 times, and because he was going to use all the same money to bet it once, I told him no, key the 4. So he keyed it, and he won 4 times instead of once. So there's ways that you can make these, they call it exotics. You can make these exotic bets. So that's the try and the super. Now you can play, which was my favorite. That was Gary's favorite, the pick 3. The pick 3 is, say, let's go for an example, race 1, 2, and 3. You had to pick the winner of that race, and the second race, that winner, and the third race, that winner. That's called a pick 3. Back then they were $3. Now they're $1. So, so if you pick, say you pick the number 2 horse, and then the next race you like the number 2 horse, and then the next race you like the 3. Okay, so that costs you $1. Now, if you actually hit that for $1 and they all win, whatever the odds are, just say they all win. You win the pick three, and whatever the odds are on the horse depends how much you're going to get paid. So if they're all favorites, if you bet $1 and you hit it in California for $1, say they're all 4 to 5s and they all win, you're probably going to win, I don't know, $6, $8. But if you can catch a somewhat long shot, say you catch a 5 to 1, it's real important. When it's called the first race, second race, third race, it's called the first leg, second leg, third leg. So you'll learn the jargon. So like you'll hear guys talking, oh man, I hit the first leg and I lost the second 2 legs, or I hit the first 2 legs and I lost the last leg. So they're talking about they lost that race. So you can if you catch a 5 to 1, what's really important is the first race. Because if you have a 4 to 5 and you have a 5 to 1 and you knock that 4 to 5 out and you have a 5 to 1, you knocked out probably 3/4 of the tickets that people are playing all over the world, I guess. So now your pick three is going to be worth money, even if you hit the next 2 favorites. Now, if you have a 5 to 1 and you have 2 favorites, a 3 to 2 and an 8 to 5, and you actually picked a 3 to 1, and then that one won, and then even if the 1 to 9 or 1 to 5 wins the last leg, that pick three is going to be pretty good. It might be, I'd say probably around, could be $60, $50. So if you have it for $1 and you happen to pick those for $1, you win that. Now, if that's one time, if you want to play it 2 times, 5 times, if you hit it, if you actually pick those horses and you play it $5 and you win it 5 times for $5, and say it pays $50, you just won $250 for $5. That's why horse racing is so addictive. It's crazy the money you can win. Man, you could be careful. Be careful. Trust me, because I admit it. When I got into horse racing after I met Gary, I couldn't break away. I admit it. I was a sicko. I was a sick puppy. I was betting my house payment. And I said, I'll pay it next week. If there's a fine, I'll pay it. I wasn't paying my car payment because I had to go to the track. There was some good horses I knew. I had to bet them. Believe me, I got in a lot of trouble. I ended up paying a lot of fines for being late. It can be really addictive. And I'll tell you how I got cured. I don't know how people are going to take this, but I'm telling you, this is how I got cured. It was really hard to do. I actually gave it up for Lent. You know how hard it was to even say, I'm going to give this up for 40 days? You know how hard it was to say that? And I gave it up. I gave it up for Lent, for 40 days. Those 40 days, I didn't know what to do with myself. I said, what am I going to do? I'm bored. It's Saturday, Sunday. I was bored. I mean, I ended up going to the beach and stuff with the family after a while. But tomorrow Sunday, I'm going to the track. I got money. I'm going to the track. You know what happened? I went in there and I walked in there like I was some king. Like, I'm back. The first, I think it was the first 3 races, I lost I must have been $300. I lost. And then I said, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this. I walked away. I walked out. I still had money in my pocket. I left. And the next week, I think I didn't go back. I didn't go back next Saturday. And then the next week, I went back on a Sunday. And that what cured me. But a lot of people never get cured. They just keep. I know this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but oh my God, he's been playing for 25 years. And he don't know 1/10 of what I know is because I happened to get lucky and I sat near some guy, Gary, that was playing horses since he was 12 years old. So I was lucky. But there's a lot of people that play horses that never get cured, and that's all they do. They just every day. There was a guy came up to me and said, he had a little piece of paper folded. And he goes, "Hey, I got the winner. Give me $2 and I'll give you this slip." And that was when I was first starting. So I give him $2, and the horse is still running somewhere. But so there's the exactas, trifectas, superfectas, and that's the pick threes. You can spread. It's called spreading. Say the first race you take 3 horses, and the next race you say the favorite. You look at the form. You really think the favorite's going to win. You can single that horse, and then the last race, the third leg, say you like 2 horses. So you have $3, and the 1 don't count. When it's a single horse, it doesn't count. So $3 and then 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. So the pick 3 is going to cost you $6. Now, which I've done, $6, I'll take it 10 times. So the ticket cost me $60. So I'm sitting there, I won that race. Oh, good. That was okay. The favorite, let me see. Oh, good. Now I'm over there wondering what it pays. If you look up at the screen, you'll see what the payouts are. So you'll know how much money you're going to get. If it pays, let me get an example. If it pays $100, pays $100, I got it 10 times. I just made $1,000, which I've done before. Pays 112. I think it paid 101. One paid 120. So I got back 1,200 for my. I think that day I spent 60. No, that day I spent $80. I remember that because I told some guy something about the form. I was showing him something. I actually hit that. But so that's the pick 3. Now you can play a pick 4. And unless you really know, you really think that horse is going to win the next leg, which would say, let's just start for an example. We start in the first, because a lot of the tracks, if they have 8 races, it's a first pick 4, and then the next 5 through 8 is the next. What is that 4? Then it's a late pick 4. Called the late pick 4. So I mean, I've hit 5 before, but they looked like the horses were. It looks like the horses were going to win. I mean, they were favorite. I caught the second favorite too. I've hit the pick 6 before, way back when it was $2, but all the favorites came in. So everybody and their grandmother had it. I think I paid $16 for my ticket. I won 600 and no, it was 580 something. It was right up at that time. It was right under taxes, and I'd done that about 3 times. But they're always favorites. I don't spend any more than on a pick 6 ticket. I won't spend no more than probably $100, because Gary told me one time, Richard, if you're not playing a $600 pick 6 ticket, you shouldn't be playing, unless you know something that's going on the track and trainers are doing something they're not supposed to be doing. If you can hear anything, what's going on at the track, if you're around there, you know somebody who knows something, you can catch little things. I know I probably should be saying anything, but it's like anything else. There's some things that go on that shouldn't be going on. But anyway, so now that's a pick 3s, a pick 4, pick 5, pick 6, the exactas. Okay, now you can play the daily double too. They have now they have called rolling doubles. Every 2 races is a rolling double, so you can play that. What I want to do now is I want to go into a little bit about horses. I mean, jockeys and trainers. Okay, like Pratt, Fabian Pratt. He's now my favorite jockey. Gary Stevens was my favorite jockey. That guy, I'm telling you, I like the guy. I met him before. I talked to him. That guy's cost me so much money. Every time I bet him, he lose. When I wouldn't bet him, he beat me. So I used to come home. My daughter goes, "Did Gary Stevens beat you again?" I go, "I don't want to hear it." But Avi, that's my daughter, Aviana. So okay, Fabian Pratt, him and Peter Miller. They're a team. Now, if you look down, it has here jockey and trainer standards. You want to look for that. Anything over, I guess, connections, could be 30%, 25%. That's really good. But each track per season is called a meet. So they're trying to beat that meet. Every jockey is trying to get the most wins for that meet, and then jockey trainer standards for the meet. So you can, they actually start telling you what's going on. Say Fabian Pratt's got 8 wins so far in the meet. Say it's only been 2 days, 3 days, and then Mike Smith is behind him. They'll tell you, and then you got to start looking at what the jockey was and who the trainer was. Okay, I'm going to tell you a few little things about the form, which is not in the form. It's called reading between the lines, and that's what you got to learn. Read between the lines. In other words, okay, that's how I won that pick three that one time for $1,200. There was a jockey, I guess I can say him, he's retired, Russell Bays. He was always winning at Golden Gate. He was always winning up there. That was the main guy. He was always on the favorites. So if you see, okay, I'm going to use Fabian Pratt because he's still running. Okay, that's his favorite trainer, him and Peter Miller. Okay, if you see Peter Miller and you see Pratt, you look over. See, Aaron, you look over here and you'll see who was riding the horse last. And if it was Pratt, maybe Pratt ran him 2 times. So I can get that. You can see who was riding the horse. And if it's Pratt last time, the last 2 times, then that's good because he stayed on that horse with Peter Miller, and he figured that he's going to win again with that horse. Now it could be a claiming race, an allowance race, a stakes race. It depends on the horse and what the how the horse is progressing or degressing. So you kind of want to look at that and see now if he's riding, say he's running a $50,000 race, and all of a sudden he's in $100,000. You got to look at the other horses, see where their excuse me, their past performance were. If they were running at 100,000, or they could have been running at a 62.5 optional claimer, which is still a really good race. So they go into that into just 100,000. That's pretty close. And a lot of the horses, you want to. What's really important too is the conditions. They're called conditions of the horse. Non-winners of 3, non-winners of 2. You want to look at that because it depends on the conditions of the race, and you want to look at that. That's really important. Don't start getting into how much a horse cost, and that I used to do that. That doesn't, believe me, that's not a big deal anymore. Just don't do it. You're better off seeing like a Pratt. Now, if Pratt, say Pratt was riding Peter Miller's horse 3 times, and say he won 2 of, he came in second, then he won the last 2. Well, the first thing I do is say, well, why isn't he on that horse? And I look over here, and he said he hardly ever rides for this guy. Say John Sheriffs. He rides for John Sheriffs. And I go, why is he on here for the first time? Why isn't he back over here? That tells you something. That means that Pratt, see, these jockeys are trying to win. They're all buddies and all that, but business is business. So Pratt's over here, and I said, well, I gotta look at this horse, and then I'll play him. So, but there's been times where Pratt got off that horse, and Pratt gets over here, and that horse won. And Pratt's probably saying, why did I get off that horse? But they're doing that for a reason. So that's the other thing you got to look for, and it's called reading between the lines. There's other stuff. You might have this right here. I showed this to Gary one time later in my years. I showed another guy this, and he said, I never looked at that. It's called track variance. Track variance is how fast the track was that day or how slow the track was. So you don't know that day unless you're looking at the fractions when the horses are running. So what that means is, say the last race, like this one here, he came in, okay, the race before it, he came in 3rd by 2. And the track variance was actually, looks like 86. Okay, now the track variance he ran the next time, it was 64. So you can see it was a really heavy track. It was a holding track. They call it a holding track. He came in 7th. So you can see the difference. Now, I've seen horses do that. I watch the track variance. You can see it's right here. Yeah, this is where he's wearing front wraps. You got front wraps, and then you'll see what the odds were on the horse. Can I get that there? And then next to it, you'll see the track variance. That is very, very important. That is so, you won't believe how important that was. I was at I was playing Saratoga. I think it was last year, and I was telling this guy I know, and he didn't. I tell him, look how fast this horse can run, but the last 3 times he died like a stuffed rat. is because the track was 60, 58, 60, and I told him, look how fast the track is today. So you have to look at the track. That's 50% of your bet. So that horse, they went off, and he was, I think he was like, say the winner, the front runner. He was probably about 8 lengths back, and then he came flying. I mean, this horse come flying, and he went right by him like they're all standing still, and he was 9-1, and I got him 9-1. So I hit that. I hit that for 40. So 9-1. That's a $20 horse. So I won $400 for $40. But and he got all mad because I kept showing him, you know, look at the track variance on this one, and I won 4 times. I won 4 races in a row. He got all pissed off, and he got his form and threw it on the floor. I was telling him, he didn't want to listen. So, but that's called a track variance. Now, this is the other thing. When you learn the horse race, whatever position, say 6 furlong. That's okay. Let me do this first. If they're gonna run 6 furlong, I'm trying to remember. It's 220 feet, I think, per furlong. So when they run the first two furlongs, which is a quarter, the horses usually run around, I don't know, 33 miles, 34 miles an hour. Those fractions, if the track is normal and say it's not really fast, it's not heavy, the actual fractions for that should be about 21.3. 21.3, somewhere around there. The next 2 furlongs, the fractions is 4 furlongs total. That should be about 45 and 3, maybe, you know, somewhere around there, 45 and 3. Now, on the finish, this depends. When the horses, wherever your horses are at, you need to see where they're at, and you got to watch those fractions, because if your horse is a front runner, because you can see in the form, you can see 1-1-1, 1-1-1. Then look at the time. You need to look how fast they run. So if they're front runners, they're going to go to the front unless the jockey got orders to rate them. That means they're going to pull them back. They're going to hold them. So those horses run to the front. Now, some trainers like to change the style, and a lot of times the horses don't like it, and they just come in last because they're not used to that. Usually horses want to run one way. Now, some horses are the opposite. Horses like Delahousie years ago, his horses used to come from behind. Everybody knew about Delahousie. His horses would come from behind, and he ended up winning. He won a lot of races, but those horses ran. The way they ran, they were coming from behind. They're not front runners. Those are called late closers. So, and then there's horses that sit right off, maybe 1 or 2 off the front runner, and those horses, you can see in the form, they run 4 back, 3 back, and they're just right off. They're right off the pace. That's what that's called. So, but once you start watching those fractions and you start seeing where your horse is at, you'll start to understand how the track is playing. That's very important, how the track is playing, because people look at here in the form, but they don't understand. If that track is a holding track, your front runners, they're gonna die. They're some of them just get tired. You can see them; they'll start veering out. Some cord up. It's called cording up. Their joints get all swell up and jacked up, and your horses they come in almost last. So, and then the opposite of that, like I said, Delahousie, they come from behind, and you can see in the form they go from 10 to 1. They might go from 8 to second, 12th to first. But you got to look at the distance of the track. That's very important. Most of the races are 5 furlongs, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7 furlongs. Okay, when they're running any of that, that's a 1 turn. They're called a 1 turn. Some horses are only 1 turn. They can only go 7 furlongs. They're going to go 1 turn around the track. Now, anything after that's 7 furlongs, 8 furlongs, a mile. So that's 2 turns. That means the horse has got to go around that turn twice. Some horses don't like doing that. So that's the other thing you got to look out for. Okay, that is a front bias. It's called a bias. When a horse is run to the front and they stay in the front because the track is fast, watch the fractions. If you see 21 and 2 and 43 and they're still in front, and then you see them come home in 108 and change, if that horse wins, and then the other two that were right behind, they come in, you better start looking in the form, start looking for horses that run in the front, because that's who's going to win. Now, it's a little different scenario. If you start running, once they start going 7 furlong, I mean, they can still stay in the front, but it depends how fast they went for the first fraction. The first and second fraction are the most important, especially the first one. If they go too fast, they're probably going to get tired. So a mile, even though the track is fast, the horses have a lot of time to adjust where they're at and move up. The mile's a little different, but a lot of times when the track is really fast, if a horse goes to the front and he controls the splits, the same thing, the fractions, the splits, he controls that. If he tries to slow it up and they don't go after him, and then he just goes, you'll see. You'll start to watch it. But it's very, very important that you start learning to watch the fractions, and you'll see them in the form. You can see all the fractions in the form, and you can see how fast a horse is, or how slow a horse is, or he comes from behind, or he's a front runner. The other thing about that, that's called a bias. When a track is really fast and the horses are staying in the front all day, and a lot of times favorites are winning because because the track is fast. So if they're staying in the front, it's called a front running bias. If they come from behind, it's a come from behind bias. Now there's another bias, and sometimes the commentators, I don't know why they don't do this. Sometimes they tell you the rail was bad. The rail, you can't be on the rail, especially after when it's raining or after it's raining, and they tell you the rail was bad. That means the rail was deep. It's deeper than the rest of the track. So once you find that out, or you start noticing horses that are in the first 2 stalls and they win, but they were over here 4 or 5 off from the rail, that means the jockeys know it. Until the announcers announce it, you're not going to know unless you're watching it. So that's called a rail bias. That means now that could be 2 ways. It's deep and horses aren't winning from the rail, or horses are winning on the rail because you want to be on the rail to win because the rail's good. Now, same thing with the outside. If it's an outside bias, you don't want to be on the outside because the track is too deep. So that's why you want to be in the front. So you got inside-outside bias, come from front-running bias, and come from behind bias. You got to start looking out for that. That's stuff you just got to learn. But you can watch the fractions. You can see where your horse is at, and you can kind of you adjust your handicapping. So, and I learned all this stuff from really Gary and a couple of the other guys. If I didn't meet him, I'd probably still be over there betting the favorite. So anyway, those are the biases. Now, the breeding. Really? So the breeding, that's another one. Some horses, the breeding is fast. Like Bob Baffert, a lot of his horses back in 30 Slews, 30 Trick. Those horses used to, the breeding, they're really fast. Quarter horse races, they were Carson. They were called Carson. Those horses were incredible. The first horse I ever learned was a front-running quarter horses were called Devil's Bag. Anything Devil's Bag, they won. You just bet it and they won. Those are called. That's when you get into breeding. Breeding is very important. You should get into breeding because you find out who runs really fast. Usually it's the sire, the father, and then you got the mare, which usually that's more of grass. When they're on the grass, that's where that side comes from, the grass. So, and the other thing I want to say, because I want to have to do another show on this, a lot of grass horses, like I won what was it, a couple of days ago, I had a horse from Ireland, and he was 4-1, but because he came from Ireland, all those horses from Great Britain, Ireland, and what was the other one? Those horses, they're all bred from grass, going back 200 years. So those horses you want to look out for because those horses are bred for grass. And a lot of times they bring them over here, and back then, or even I think it was New York, but France and Great Britain and all those places, they don't give them medication. So they come over here and they give them what's called Lasix. They get Lasix for the first time, which is a drug that makes them stop bleeding inside their lungs because they bleed through their nose. They usually give them a dose, If they come back bleeding, maybe again, they give them the full dose. So that's called Lasix. The other one's called Bute, was a B, and you'll see that there where the form is, and where you'll learn. It's right next to the track. It's before the track variants. It's called Bute. That's an aspirin. They give them that, and then you got front wraps, which is lowercase f, and that means they got front wraps. It's just like a basketball player. His knees hurt, so they wrap them. Same thing with a horse. They wrap their cannon bones. It's called cannon bone. So they wrap those, and then you got you got lowercase b, which is called blinkers. In other words, back then it used to be called the hood. I don't know, they don't call it the hood no more, but it's now they're called blinkers. And the blinkers are either 1/4, half, or 3/4. So the horse can pay attention where he's going, because the crowd and all the yelling, they shy off. And the other thing is they're called a shadow roll. It's on the horse. That means they're jumping shadows. So you see a horse with looks like a big old rag on him. It's called a shadow roll. That's because they're jumping shadows. Now that equipment is, after a while, is normal for the horse. But if you see a horse getting blinkers for the first time, watch out. Look at that horse. It's called moving up. He's gonna move up because of those blinkers. So you got to watch out for that. I won some pretty good horses that were not favorites, or 5-6 to 1, because they got, not only did they get Lasix for the first time, and they got the blinkers for the first. They got both, double whammy, and that horse annihilated the field. The other thing is you got to start, because now it's a G, it's in bold. That means the horse has been gelded. I know a lot of guys out there don't like that word, but he's been gelded. Look out for those horses. A lot of times those horses, they'll go wire to wire. In other words, from the gate to the wire and win. You got to look out for that. Now, sometimes they don't do nothing, but sometimes those horses, man, they don't have that extra weight. Those horses, look out, because you'll get prices. I got a 23 to 1 one time. There was 3 horses at Golden Gate. They were all gelded. I caught the last one. I lost these 2, and I said, let me just bet $20. He was 23 to 1, and I hit it. It was $20. Let's see, gelded and all that. What else is? I got so much stuff. I got to do another show on this. This is not enough. I didn't go into hardly any of this. So, what I got here? I got 5 minutes. But you need to get the form. Trust me. This form, I don't care if it costs. If it comes to 15, I'll pay it. You make your money on the form. You can't be saying, "Oh, look at that horse, same name as my cat." That has nothing to do with it. You gotta learn to read the form and read between the lines. Make sure you watch the track variants. Find out. Oh, the other thing is, when it's raining, football players have cleats, right? Well, when it's raining, one time me and Gary were watching, and every horse they're called mudcocks. Now they call them stickers. I don't know why they do this. The original name's called mudcocks. They're cleats, and because the track is wet, and a lot of jockeys don't go as fast as they normally do because they don't want the horse to get wiped out. So one time, me and Gary, one day, every horse that got mudcocks, me and Gary were winning because they already had mudcocks, and you can see the odds. It had an asterisk next to it, so you knew who was getting mudcocks. Now a lot of these tracks, they're not doing all that stuff for people. And I think that's bad, because that's the information I look for. The other thing I look for, before it rains, find out the track's been sealed. If it's been sealed, that means it's like they rolled heavy weight on it and they compacted the track. That track will be fast probably for the first 3 races, and after that, it's called the seal's been broken. So you want to look for that too. That's very important. So I'm going to have to do another show on this, because I didn't get into anything here. So I want to thank Aaron here, Go Live Studios Vegas. If you got anything you want to do, commercials or anything, give him a call, and you can come on the show and do your own show. Now I want to thank everybody. Full Tilt Vegas here. This is a segment on horse racing, and I'm going to have to do another one because I didn't really get into anything, really. I want to get into jockeys and all that. But I want to thank you, and we'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you next week. Thank you.